Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm out here today, I'm pulling a set that I hung for rifle season here in Pennsylvania, and today I decided to come out to pull this set, but in the meantime I wanted to use the opportunity to talk to you about the new AERO HUNTER SHRIKE saddle. And after, I don't know, 26 to 28 hours of hunting in this saddle, I wanted to kind of break it down for you and give you my thoughts in regards to how this saddle works for me. So I did something new this year that I didn't do the previous years that I saddle hunted. And the reason I changed it up was I had, at the beginning of the season, 10 different saddles in-house that I was messing around with. And so I decided I'm going to hunt with all of the saddles, and while I'm hunting, I'm going to start documenting how I feel on that saddle, the comfort of the saddle, and if there's discomfort, what am I doing change-wise, moving my bridge on my bridge loops or adjusting the length of the bridge, so on and so forth. What am I doing to fix the problem? And ultimately, can I get comfortable in that said saddle? And so, obviously, I couldn't devote a lot of time to every saddle, but I did hunt in the majority of the saddles that I have. And for this AERO HUNTER SHRIKE, I actually got this. The tag and it says 1026, and I got it. I was able to hunt 3 or 4 days in Pennsylvania with it, and then I took the Shrike and my Method 2 saddle to Kansas, and there I was hunting for like 10 days out there as well. And so I have enough time in this saddle to be able to at least give the breakdown and at least speak to how it works for me. And so we're going to take just a few minutes. I'll go over the new features, the differences that you see from the Merlin to the Shrike, and then we will break down each feature a little bit more in depth. And then at the end of this review, I'll give you my overall thought and how this saddle landed for me at the end of the season. Before I touch on the new features of the Shrike, I also want to add in there that they have left their design of last year, which was the Merlin, and they went back all the way to 2018, and they have brought back the shape and the sizes of one of their original saddles, which was the Kestrel. And so the Kestrel, if you know anything about that saddle, when it came out, it really changed a lot about saddle hunting. And so they've went back to that overall design and shape. Of course, the Kestrel did not have this pleat. The following year they did the Kestrel Flex and they added the pleat, but again, the overall design of this saddle really resembles that Flex that they had brought out in 2018. So a few of the changes that you'll see is AERO HUNTER said that they've upgraded to what they call a Gorilla Mesh material. It's stronger, more durable, longer lasting, all of that good stuff. I have no reason to fact check them. I do know that whenever I feel the material, you can feel that it's a sturdy material. I don't keep a saddle long enough to determine whether or not it's going to have a long lasting or longevity of life. I don't know, but you can definitely know or see that everything about the saddle screams quality. So again, I have no reason to fact check them on that. So they added a Gorilla Mesh. Another thing that you can see by looking at the profile like this, and I have it in the vertical position just because it's more easy to manage with one hand, but they have did reverse sewing on this. Essentially, saddles prior to this, all the webbing strap would be on the outside of the saddle, and then the mesh or the material would be on the inside. They've put now the straps or the webbing on the inside, and then the mesh now is on the outside of the saddle. I believe that they say that that helps keep the saddle in place. While I have it facing this way, you will notice that they've added an additional support webbing strap down there. That's supposed to help cup underneath your butt or support the back of your legs when you're sitting or leaning. And so again, I'll talk a little bit more about that and what I have found. If I just hold the saddle in this position, you will see that, get that lineman's belt out of the way, you'll see that the leg straps are being lifted and held by this bungee strap right here that is attached to the girth hitch of your bridge. And so they have also added that, and I actually like that feature. It's such a simple idea, but it goes a long way, especially if you wear your leg straps. What that does is it ghost rides your leg straps off of your legs. So if you're walking or you're sitting or you're leaning, it kind of keeps your leg straps from contacting your leg. And of course, it's a bungee cord, but if that begins to stretch out, you can always just retie that knot and lift it up even more. Another thing that they added was a youth size. So on their website, the youth size is an X, and that will cover saddles for children. And then lastly, probably the biggest noticeable difference that you will see, it's a first for any saddle hunting company, is they only added one lineman's loop on the left side of the saddle. Now, of course, their lineman's loop has the reflective material like they all do. So if you're in the dark and you're using a headlamp, you can click in really easy. But what they did was they do one lineman's loop on the left side, and then on the right side, they have what they call an integrated lineman's belt. And so you can see it's not movable. I mean, you could cut it off or take it off if you wanted to, but that is always on the saddle. And then apart from that, I believe that's all of the new features. And if I forget one, I'll throw it into the back side of this video as well. But what we're going to do is I am going to break down each of these features one by one and talk to you about my experience using them. Again, after 26 to 28 hours, and that's a conservative number. But let's get right into this review. Let's talk now about probably the biggest change that we have seen on their saddle, and that is this single lineman's loop and the integrated lineman's belt. Now, you have to understand that for me, when I one stick, a lineman's belt is something that I use a lot from the time I get off the ground. It brings stability in my climb, especially with a three-step aider. And so for me, I have to use a lineman's belt that can just be easy adjustments, one hand up and down. I was using the Wild Edge KISS system, so it's just the Oplux with the Prusik and then the poor man's Ascender on it. That worked really well. I do, and I have used my Oplux with the Duck Kong or the Kong Duck on it, and that works, but not as well as the Prusik, because with the Prusik, when you want to let rope out, you just grab the top of the knot and you pull it, whereas you'd have to use your thumb and open the gate and then slide it. So I like the Prusik better than the Kong Duck. And so I was very skeptical about this new webbing, webbing lineman's belt here. But when I got it, I put it on, I went straight to the tree, and that was the first thing I tested out on this saddle, was how easy can you adjust this lineman's belt. Okay, so I'm hooked up to the tree here at the base of the tree. I have the carabiner over here to the left side, and then of course you'll be able to see how this frame buckle works in conjunction with the webbing strap here. Again, this was a big deal to me. I wanted to be able to make quick adjustments, bringing me forward or dropping me back away from the tree as I'm one sticking climbing up my aider. And so again, I was really pleased when I put this on and I found that you could adjust this one-handed with ease. And I'll just show you. I'll use my left hand just so my right hand doesn't get in the way. But all you have to do is grab this and move and simply pull, and there you go. If I want to go forward a little bit more, it's as simple as that. And then if I want to drop back or pull back, give myself some more room, just take your two fingers right here under both of these frame buckles and just simply pull, and it moves out just like that. I mean, it's so simple. It works so smooth. The only thing that I've found that I could critique on this is there's time where this tail end is just hanging down, and there's times where, not often, I can't even replicate it. There would just be times where when I would let out, it would twist. Somehow it would get twisted, and it would kink up right here at them frame buckles. If that happened, all I did was take the tail end, I'd pull it, and then I'd go at it again. But again, it did happen, but I can't even replicate it unless I just sit here until it happened. But you can see how easy that is to adjust. A few other things AERO Hunter added to their setup was they added 3 modular accessories. One was a tree tether, but the other was a dump pouch. If you run this saddle, you definitely want your dump pouch over here on your right side, because that's where all your lineman's belt's going to go, right here off of your right side. My first impressions and my long-term impressions of this built-in lineman's belt system is I really like it. I do. It's easy to adjust one-handed. It's durable. It's fast. And if you were to purchase a lineman's belt system from any company out there, you're looking, if it's Oplux, you're looking at anywhere from $60 to $80 for a system that works as smooth as this system does right here. And AERO Hunter has thrown this system in basically at the price of the saddle for what I think it was $279. And so you're not buying any additional ropes and any additional costs. So I thought that was pretty slick. And for me, I really like that. The other downside that I see is I'm a right-handed user, and so this works and is perfect for me with my right hand. But if you're a left-handed user, you might want this on the other side. So I would maybe suggest to AERO Hunter to give people a left-handed option or a right-handed option as far as your lineman's belt. That's for sure. So here I want to give you a close-up of this bridge system and how it works. Again, I really like this bridge. You know, the one negative is overshadowed by all of the positives to me. Here you have the Austria Alpin frame buckles right here, and this is kind of the workhorse of this system. This allows you to adjust the length of your bridge with one hand with ease, either taking it up or letting it out. And essentially what it is if I was to lengthen, or excuse me, shorten this bridge, I would take the tail end right here and I would just simply pull. And you can see how it takes up because of that frame buckle there. I can lengthen it just a little bit more if I want. I mean, all my weight's on it, and with ease, I can just pull that up. Matter of fact, this is the easiest adjusting bridge that's out there, maybe with the exception of the Wild Edge Berserker that I have used, that utilizes the poor man's ascender. But again, if I want to lengthen my bridge now, all I do is take my two fingers, put it under this frame buckle, and I just simply let out. And you can see how easy this bridge system adjusts. Again, this is a slick system. I really like this bridge. Again, one-handed. That was actually, let me do that again. I made that adjustment. All my weight's in it. I'm leaning back. I made that adjustment with my two fingers. You simply pull and it's done. So kudos to AERO Hunter. This is probably one of the nicest bridge systems I have used for adjustability. And it also gives you the ability right here on the bridge loops. Again, it is girth hitched to the bridge loops via this webbing strap. So if you want to adjust the pressure where it's landing, you know, up here or at the bottom, all you have to do is break your weight, stand up, and then what I do is I take two fingers and I kind of just break that girth hitch a little bit, and then I push or I pull from the bottom or the top, depending where I want to go. Let's just say I want my bridge down towards the bottom. It will pull more weight here, and it holds. So let's go a little bit further. I want to take it all the way to the bottom, and it holds. Let me go halfway up. I'll break that. Let me go halfway up there. It bites and holds. I'll go up to the top. It bites and holds. And then, of course, where I run it a lot of times is just above that halfway point. And, of course, it bites and holds there. So I really like this bridge system. If I would have, say there was one downside, and it's not a downside, it'd be a preference, I have found that this webbing strap does not, I mean, it pivots. You can see me pivot, but it does not pivot in my carabiner as easy as my Method 2 AM steel did. But again, to me, that would never be a make it or break it deal, because there are so many positives about this bridge system that outweigh, you know, whether or not it slides as easy as AM steel. But again, I really like this bridge. Now, while I'm sitting here, let me just go ahead and point out these leg straps. I can put my fingers right under them right here. So you can see this bungee cord is underneath your leg straps. Now, of course, if I slide this all the way down to the bottom, that will change where that lands. But right now, there is no pressure here. So my leg straps are 100% ghost riding off of my leg here. And so that's a pretty sweet feature. And of course, in regards to these leg straps, not every company that has leg straps on their saddles, not every company is load-bearing leg straps. They are. So these 1-inch Raptor buckles and stuff like that, again, if you get on AERO Hunter's webpage, you can see that they have like a 4 to a 6,000 pound rating on this stuff. So one thing you will feel in an AERO Hunter saddle is safe. That is for sure. Before I throw the Shrike on and we get some close-up videos, let me talk about the pleat that is in this saddle. So it is no secret, AERO Hunter is responsible. They were the first ones to bring this design out, the ability to expand your saddle. And there's other people that have copied that, and they've changed the pleat in some variation, but the concept is still the same. The saddle is able to open and close and to accommodate a wider range of body styles. And so uh, they are the ones that's responsible for that. And I am a big fan of AERO Hunter and the pleated design. But as you can see right here, if I go ahead and close this up, close up this pleat, and I just hold it up, it does not want to stay shut. And it's not just AERO Hunter, it's any of these saddles that have a pleated design that's made of mesh. I've had several others, and they just don't want to stay in the closed position. Now, if you're going to run this saddle in the open position, if that's where you find comfort, then it's no biggie. But for me, in the leaning position, I have to have this bottom pleat completely closed, or my backside does not fill out all this mesh, and I get all the pressure right here on the straps, and it's uncomfortable. And so what I am suggesting is that there is some type of strap that is added here with a single buckle that you can simply have these pleats buckled shut until you want to open them. When you're walking, they'll be buckled shut, and then when you get to this, you know, your hunting position, if you want the bottom closed, it's already closed. Just pop open the top. But again, one of the things that I have found that's a downside is the pleat just does not want to stay closed. All right, guys, obviously this clip of the video is a different day, different outfit, different setting. What happened was I was up in the mountains and I recorded the entire video. I came home, I edited it, and then I published it. Well, in my edits, I accidentally deleted 3 pieces of information that I originally intended for the video. And so after a day, this video climbed with my highest ranking as far as views in a day. But because I deleted that stuff out, I felt like I should pull that video and just add this into it just for additional content for my overall experience. And so I want to talk to you about walking in the Shrike saddle. So the Shrike saddle has your typical ADF Raptor style buckle, and you just pull it or with one side and you can loosen it. And what I have experienced with these styles of buckles is if you have your dump pouch on and you're walking long distances, that weight has a tendency to loosen up this buckle, and then your saddle begins to sag. And I'm not too sure. They have this extra additional piece of webbing right here on your buckle. I'm not sure if that is there to help prevent that from loosening up, but I have experienced in walking with this saddle that there is no saddle sag for me. I would just crank this buckle down, I'd put my dump pouch on it, and I'd walk. And for me, I have found that this buckle holds, so there is no saddle sag. However, my buddy has the same saddle. He's a different build. He's not as big in the backside as I am. He has a thinner waist, and for him, he did notice that the saddle would begin to sag after he would walk a distance. For me personally, I did not have it. The bigger thing, or another thing I should say that I want to add as far as walking with the saddle is I would put the leg straps buckled and they would be behind me. And one morning it was calm. It was really calm in Kansas, which was rare because usually the wind is ripping, but it was calm. And I kept noticing as I was walking on the train tracks that there was metal that was jingling. And I was patting around, and finally I determined that there was 2 sources of noise when you're walking in the saddle. One would come from the leg straps, you know, as your foot's hitting the train track or whatever, that would jingle. And then the other source of noise that I would experience comes from the frame buckle on the bridge. And so as it is with everything with noise, there's ways that you can tame that down. You could simply part that frame buckle, throw a little stealth strip in there. But those were 2 areas that I identified that had the potential to make noise when you're walking. Some of you guys that want to get into a bedding area close, that might be a concern to you. Again, there's an easy fix to it, but that was my experience walking in the Shrike saddle. So there's an in-depth look into some of the features that is on this Shrike saddle. I'm going to talk to you about my experience in the saddle and what I did to try to find comfort while I'm sitting and both leaning. So right away, I found this to be true with most of the single panel saddles that I've used, if not all of them. With single panel saddles, I tend to like my tether at forehead height. With the two panel saddles like my Method, the Method XL, I drop my tether down to possibly my chin height. I like a lower tether with those two panels. But if you start off at forehead height, I think that you'll be right in the zone somewhere with that. Now, in regards to leaning, I'm a huge leaner. There's been a couple YouTubers out there that have inspired me to try to experience with sitting a lot more, and I have been sitting a lot more, but I primarily lean. And so for me, in the leaning position, I have I've found that putting the bridge, the girth hitch of the bridge, just above the middle, I found that that's where I like that. The top pleat, 100%, whether I'm leaning or sitting, the top pleat of this saddle has to be wide open. But in the leaning position, I have to have this bottom pleat completely shut. And so when you do that, you get that bottom shut and you get into the leaning position. To me, I find that there's a lot of good support back here on your backside. And then of course, the top pleat is open, and so this top webbing strap right here is off of your iliac crest. I also found that for me in the leaning position, I like that bridge to be about like a 4 to a 6 inch tail, somewhere right around there. And with a 4 to a 6 inch tail, I can lean in this for hours and be perfectly comfortable, you know. And so, and the leaning, I've had zero issues with it. With the occasion, as I've already said, this bottom pleat, if it works open, if this pleat works open at all, what I find is that my butt isn't big enough to fill out the saddle, and so all the pressure then is landing on the straps. And after 2 hours, those straps will start to make my legs tender. So that's why it's important for me to be able to have this bottom pleat completely closed. In that position, I can hunt out of it all day. Let me talk a little bit about my experience sitting in the Shrike. 100% when I'm sitting in the Shrike saddle, I have to have the bottom pleat wide open and the top pleat wide open. Anytime you have a strap that holds pressure, go over the ball joint of your hip, or even in the proximity of that, it can create pressure points and hot spots. And then anytime you have your waist buckle strap go right over your iliac crest, then that will create a hot spot. And so for me, 100% when the sitting position, both the top and the bottom pleat had to be wide open. And I have found this, that when the bottom pleat is wide open and those straps are off, for sure, off of your ball joints of your hip, you get tremendous support in the Shrike saddle when you're in the sitting position. And I would attribute some of that to that secondary strap, that support strap that they added. And so on the bottom side of sitting, I find it to be very comfortable, and I find that you get some additional support. So the other area that I want to comment on again is this secondary additional support strap right here on the bottom of the saddle. I like that, and I really think that there's something to that. You can feel that additional support even when you're sitting. The problem I have ran into for myself, and again, this is personal, it deals with comfort, is when I have these pleats wide open and the secondary support strap is now at the bottom below the ball joint of my hip, the top of the strap is right on my iliac crest. If I grab the top of the saddle and slide that up to pull the top off my iliac crest, all of a sudden now the bottom secondary strap is on the ball joint of my hip. And so I think what happened here is, even though this pleat opens up and gives you additional material to adjust your saddle, even though that opens up, this secondary strap has taken away what this bottom pleat is able to give. I'm going to throw it on the tree and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. All right, guys, so I'm sitting in the saddle. You can see right here in the stitching, you can see this black stitching. That is the outline of your primary support strap. And then you can see the stitching here. That is the outline of the secondary strap, support strap. And so all together, that's how much support you have. Right now, the top strap is on my iliac crest. If I pull up the saddle just an inch and I get that above my iliac crest right here, what that did was just that inch, because of the secondary support strap, that secondary support strap is now hitting the ball joint of my hip. What I'm saying is this, that even though you have the ability to open your pleat, when you add this support strap, you're actually taking away from what you're opening. And so I would like to see this secondary, or the second or bottom pleat, be able to open up even further. That way you're accommodating for the material loss right here on your second support strap. When I go to pull this down, I get that off the ball joint, man, it gives you support. My ball joint's right here, but now it's back on my iliac crest. I change it, and now that secondary strap is what's hitting it. If that wasn't there, you can see that original strap. I would have the perfect amount of adjustment if that secondary strap wasn't there. And so I have thought about purchasing the next size up, but the only dilemma and hesitation I have is, yeah, I think I'd be able to open it more and not have those pressure points, but I would not be able to fill out the saddle at all, and so all the pressure would be on the straps, and that's just a gamble I don't want to take. So I'll wait until one of my buddies buy one, and then I'll try theirs out. And so that has been my experience, both leaning and sitting in this Shrike saddle. All right, guys, those are my thoughts in regards to the new Shrike saddle from AERO Hunter. There is so much to like about this saddle, this company. I like to support this company. They have pushed the envelope in so many ways, and they will always have my support. In regards to this saddle, personally, there are a lot of features that I have enjoyed. The bridge is second to none. I love the bridge system. I love the floating leg straps that ghost rides the leg straps over your legs. I love this integrated lineman's belt system. I love the ability that you have a pleat. There is some good support that you gain from that secondary support strap. Again, there are so many features that I like about this saddle. The only complaint that I have personally, and this is personal because it deals with comfort, is no matter what I do in the sitting position, I cannot get this top strap off my iliac crest, and so that would create pressure points for me after sitting for a while. But other than that, man, this is an absolute stellar saddle. As always, if there's anything I did not cover, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments section below, and I'll do everything I can to answer your questions. Thanks for watching, and good luck.